Hello, my name is Jasmine Yeboah. I was a previous youth president of the Methodist Church in Great Britain. I'm currently working as a primary school teacher, and I come from a Ghanaian background.
My name's Isaac Nketiah-Boateng. I am currently a BYC rep, working in the Methodist Church. I'm also studying history at the Mumford Uni, so I'm a student right now, first year. And like Jasmine, I am also from a Ghanaian background as well.
Hi, I'm Rodney. I'm the JPIT and House of Commons intern. I'm 24. I'm from a Nigerian background.
Yeah. So guys, we're just going to chat. Feel free, don't be scared, okay?
Yeah.
So it's Black History Month, obviously, that's why we're doing this. Myself, I think I was not the first Black youth president, and I was told that when I started. I think I was the second Black youth president. I think for me, it was very different, but really good as well. And I think I was able to learn a lot about different cultures. Being the youth president, they send you everywhere. And I mean, you go up to Shetland, down, like they sent me everywhere. And I think it was really good for me to meet different people, have different conversations. Where did I go? I think I enjoyed going to Cornwall. Have you guys ever been to Cornwall? Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been.
Yes, it was good. What did you say?
I said I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to Cornwall.
Yes, Cornwall was good for me as well, just to meet the different people and speak to the young people. But I did realize that when I was going around, guys, sometimes I was maybe the only Black person that would get off the trains, and I remember when I went to York. Where did they send me? Somewhere in York. And that whole weekend, it was me and someone else from an Asian background. We got off the train, and for the whole weekend, I didn't see anyone else from an ethnic background at all. And that was the first time, because when you live in London, I don't know, but when I live in London, I'm surrounded by people from different backgrounds and cultures, and it's really enriching. It enriches your thought process, the way you speak to other people. And so that weekend was very interesting for me. And I was able to see Great Britain, England, in a different way, not only from that, but different places that I traveled to. But I also knew that in some places, maybe they didn't have interactions with maybe a lot of Black people. And it didn't put a burden on my shoulder, but I knew I had to represent, and I'm just going to be very honest, I had to represent Black people very well. So I was very cautious in the way that I would dress or the way that I would speak. But at the same time, they was able to learn a lot about me. And I think people really warmed up to me. And I warmed up to other people as well, because sometimes I was really nervous, what they're going to think about me, what they're going to say about me. I'm not that quiet. I'm not a stereotype. I am not going to be any stereotype. I'm going to be myself. So I think sometimes as a leader, the challenges that I faced personally was trying to not be the stereotype, but sometimes you're so conscious of, I don't want to be the stereotype, that you're not being yourself. But with you guys, I just wanted to ask you, both Isaac and Rodney, what have you learned in your different roles as leaders, and what challenges have you come up against?
No, Rodney, do you want to go first, or?
You can go first. So go on.
Okay, so as a Methodist rep, this is my first year of doing it. So we've done a few stuff. Well, even before I was a rep, I was doing some youth stuff around the UK, around my district as well. So I live in Birmingham. Well, I lived in Birmingham. So with the stuff I was doing, I got to see all the sides of Birmingham. Even though Birmingham is a multicultural place, you get parts where obviously you are going to be the only Black person there, or you're going to go and see parts where you're going to see major poor places where people are just struggling whilst I'm doing whatever I'm doing with my church. So it's opened my eyes to see the I thought Birmingham was like, oh, it's calm, everyone's living nice here. But like, even though I know that my parents would have struggled when they came here first to like, you know, fit in. Like, I've been told stories where like they found it hard to like integrate themselves into this culture with being themselves at the same time, and then at the same time trying to like not be themselves in a way, if you get what I mean. So like, it's opened my eyes to like seeing different sides of like people's lives as well. So you can get the really rich side where majority of them are mainly white people, and then you can go to the poor sides where I did some refugee work a couple of years back, and we were there with the refugees, and I was like, these people they haven't even seen the life that I've went and seen at the other side of Birmingham, like half an hour away. So it's like being black, even like being black, you know, the two sides of it, because my parents have worked hard to like get me here, and now I'm living here. I'm seeing back in the day some stuff that were not like easily accessible to us, like, and now okay, I can get it a little bit more easier now, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What will you? Oh no, carry on. Sorry.
No, that's I was just gonna mumble a little bit more, but you ask the question.
No, I was just gonna ask Rodney because I thought you finished.
Oh yeah, I'm done.
Oh.
I would say for me, my experience has been quite different, I guess, because I've been in London my whole life. Like you said, Jasmine, London is quite diverse and you're enriched with people's different cultures. So you're always interacting with different people and learning every day and embracing people's different cultures. But I would say in relation to the work I've done and just looking at it from a career point of view, I'm very much interested in politics, and I understand that representation is a big thing within the political arena. And there are certain codes one must abide by that are really not said. So there's been times when obviously I've had to adapt the way I speak or the way I interact in order not to become stereotypical. So what they mean in terms of how a black person speaks, identify that you can't really say, but we all know what they mean. So I think these are things I've had to hold out for. But in terms of my general interaction with community, like Isaac, I've done a lot of youth work and been involved with a lot of young people. And I found it fairly good. And I do share your sentiment, Jasmine, whereby you go into certain arenas and the environment you're in is quite unique because you might be the first of your kind, let's say. And feel like there's an impression you have to make to allow there to be a gateway for those similar to you to come after you. And I think that's definitely a pressure I feel. I even believe now with my internship, I must be one of the first. So I feel like I have to do a good job. And I think it's whether that kind of pressure, who knows? But I think it's definitely in the psyche.
Yeah.
I think it's the same with like if you're going to like uni, like being the first in your family to go to uni, it's that legacy you got to start paving through. Like you got to be that person to show people that there is a way out of this, and you can go and do this and this and this.
Yeah, and I think you have to be bold and brave enough. I think people have expectations because of media. I live in London. I live in like one of the worst places in London. I still live there. I remember getting this job and someone asking me, "Oh, have you moved?" I was like, "No." Why would you think because I've got a new job automatically I've moved? But it's just to know that in my estate, as bad as the media may portray it, and you all know where I live. Do you know where I live? I don't know. I assume I live I live in Tottenham, then I live in the Broadwater Farm estate. Don't come looking for me if you're listening to this, okay? Don't come, all right. So I think people just assume a lot. And it's like, okay, so she comes from this area, she does this. So the slightest thing I do, it's like, oh, she's acting. And you've always got the aggressive black woman stereotype, which I try my best. Like when I say try my best, I mean to the extent that sometimes I don't even say my opinion because I'm just not trying to be that stereotype, which I've realized that is wrong. In the job that I have right now as a primary school teacher, I work in a predominantly white area, white, and they're like middle class, very, you know, well off and stuff. But the children, it was Black History Month, and the school does celebrate Black history, which is very good. And they were just amazed at different things that happened within just the history. And it's things that they're not open to. But even when I was speaking to their parents were so open to their children learning about these different things. But then something happened where a representation of the stereotypical how people portray Africa came across. And as soon as I saw that, I was able to educate the young people in the truth of Africa, because yes, I think poverty is there, but there's poverty everywhere, and there is a rich culture. And I feel like that's why I wanted to get into teaching, because I wanted to educate children that they might not be exposed to certain type of things. And then, you know, you think about, you know, even if it's with colleagues or when I was youth president, just trying to keep my volume down. I was just trying to keep my volume down. I was just trying to be this leader. But what I learned through that was, listen, God has called me. It's not by chance that God made me Black. And listen, I know that I'm loud, and that's just me. That is not all Black people. You'll be ignorant to think that. And I've learned that, listen, babes, you've got to be yourself, because that's where I thrive. And you know what? The things that I might be like, oh, Jasmine, you're too loud. Oh, Jasmine, you know, calm down. That's the very thing that reaches those people that are out there, whether they were Black or white when I was a leader. You know, just being yourself. And yes, there will be ignorant people all the time. I remember speaking to a teacher and saying, I don't want to, you know, be that, you know, stereotypical Black person. And she was like, well, if people look at you, you'll always be the stereotype to those who, you know, those who are narrow-minded and want you to be the stereotype. So I would just say to anyone that's watching this, and you might be a young person and you might be in politics like Rodney, or like Isaac, you're going to university, what I would say would be, just be yourself. You will always have people who are there who are ignorant, who don't want to know about your culture, even to the extreme, like they're just racist blunt. But you have got to be yourself. And you know what? Don't even try and say, oh, I'm going to make sure that you know that I'm like this. No, just be yourself and thrive in being yourself, and keep those people, if they want to be educated, they will be. But if they don't, there's many others that do want to be educated. So I guess my question to both of you is, what would you, you know, you've got your experience, Isaac, in university, and Rodney, obviously with your role in the Methodist Church House, what advice would you give to young people who are Black of what they should do? How am I going to phrase this question? What advice would you give to a young Black person that wants to be in your position, that wants to go to university, that may come from a background that their parents are the first generation to, you know, be here, and they're the first generation to go to university, and you, Rodney, in your really high position, what advice would you give to, you know, other Black children?
Right. So for me, I'd say that, like, growing up, like, you're gonna have a lot of people who will try and push you down from where you think you should be. Like, without them knowing, they will do it to you in a way because of who you are, or the way that you are, or like their ignorance to who you are. So I'd say it's all about working as hard as you can in whatever you believe you need to do to get to where you need to go. Like, even if it's not in education and you want to go and do something like music or want to be a footballer, it's about putting 100% in. And as long as you believe in yourself, I think that you will get to where you want to go. And like, if you put enough work into it, it will 100% work out. Even if like you get a roadblock or something stops you halfway, it's about getting over those things as well, because there will be loads of them. Like, I've been through, even trying to get to where I am today to do what I wanted to do now, there's been like loads of challenges in the way where I've had to dig deep and like pray and then think about people, like what people like my parents would have struggled to even get here. It's like pushed me more to do what I wanted to do, like to go to uni as well. So it's all about finding that thing that will motivate you enough to then push yourself to go and do even more than you might even think you will do. Like you over exceed yourself even. So for me, it's like, find that belief in you and know that there is like light at the end of the tunnel. And even if people push you back, just push back harder and try and prove them more wrong.
Thank you very much. Rodney?
I would say the first thing someone in my position has to understand and think of is their motivation. They need to understand their motivation, and it's not really understanding the intensity of their motivation. They need to understand the stamina of their motivation, because we all desire many things. We all have a lot of ambitions and dreams, and they're intense. But one requires stamina to keep going and push through, because there are many people that start off in the same road as you career-wise. So you can have someone that wants to be a politician, you can have someone that wants to enter law, they go through law school, in a temple, middle temple, whatever it may be, and then at one point they stop practicing. It's because their motivation was there, but it's not about the intensity, it's about the stamina of the motivation, and that's what takes you to the next level. Why is the stamina of your motivation important? Because there are obstacles along the way, and it's how you choose to respond to those obstacles. You know, we have to come to the reality of certain things and confront those realities to be true. I remember growing up and being told, and I'm sure it's a similar story for many people, that being black men, I had to work twice as hard. And I never really took much interest in that saying from my parents, to be honest. I went through my GCSEs and everything, and I didn't understand that. You see, those critical moments in school, you've really got to, once you leave from 8:30 to 2:30 or 3:30, you've really got to go home and work harder than you ever believe you should, because windows of opportunity, the truth of the matter, open for some people more than it don't for others. And you've got to put yourself in a position whereby they can't say no to you. Even if they do say no to you, you're confident in what you have. So your stamina, the stamina of your motivation has to be important, because there are obstacles along the way, and there are obstacles sometimes that are not even of your own making. Certain things exist within society, like institutional and structural racism, that prevent you from being where you can be. Now, if you understand these things, you have to understand that you have to take on a mentality where you say that I have to be resilient and I have to bounce back from every no, from every disappointment. In spite of these challenges, I choose to make it. For someone like me that's in the political arena, I think it's hard, because you have to think, well, in the career I want to go through, that representation is quite low. So you think, all right, there's not many people that look like me, but it's a level of determination and a desire that you still want to continue there. I think it's about the mentality of the person and their motivation to have that stamina.
Yeah, thank you. Have you guys had any experiences like of you facing any, I don't know, hardship, let's put it, hardship, or even like racism or even challenges because of your race? And how did you overcome, you know, these hard, difficult times? Because I guess a young person would need to know this, especially if they're going through it. And how did you overcome?
For me, yeah, like when I was younger, like when I came to the UK, I was like 10 when I first came. So I was like, in my primary school, I was the only, well, there was only 3 black kids, I think. So we were there like, it's a new kid, and like I got a few like racist remarks because coming from Africa, and like my English wasn't the best. So you get the little racist remarks mocking the way I speak and the way my English is. But you know, at that time, I really didn't take notice of that, because of how it was like, they just were just having a joke, or the way sometimes in the UK, like, racism can be like, oh, it's just banter. Why are you getting too rowdy over it? It's only banter. We're just kidding. Like, sometimes it can get like that. So I was like, oh, okay. But now that, like, going through my years at school, like in primary school especially, like getting to secondary school, I was like, oh, that was racism, innit? So I think for me, at the time, obviously I didn't notice what it really was, because I never really was taught about that like that. Like, my parents would tell me, you got to be careful what this and that, just in case this happens, or X, Y, and Z happens. But, like, I never really knew it like that. So for me, if I was supposed to tell someone, like, how to get through it, I wouldn't really know, because as I grew up, I haven't really
realized.
Yeah, I never really realized at that age. So it's like, if I was going to say anything, I'd just say, like, it's all about teaching people to understand who you are, so that they can stop, like, what they're doing. They need to understand that like, in this age, there's no space for it. So, like, if it's gonna be there, we have to, like, teach and remind people that we're all just literally the same people. Like, scientifically, we're just all the same people. There's literally no difference. Like, my skin color couldn't make any difference to anything anyway. So that's what I would say. Like, educate them as well.
Yep. And Rodney, we have got 5 minutes left, I've been told. So Rodney, if you could just also say anything and how you've also overcome.
I think I'm quite similar to Isaac in that I've never really had to deal with racism from an overt perspective anyway. It's always been covert, from, like I experienced a few weeks ago, a woman just clutching her bag at me just walking by her, and it was quite revealing. So I couldn't really tell someone how to deal with it. I've never really dealt with it overtly.
Okay. And the last question is, are there any role models who have helped you? Any Black role models that you look up to, or who have helped you in your walk?
For me, I listen to a lot of UK rap, so I would say Akala, who was the first person I listened to. He's like a scholar, book writer, and
yeah,
rapper.
I like him.
Yeah,
as well.
Akala really, like his he has an Oxford thing on YouTube where he talks about the beginning of, like, everything, like, from Africa and everything, which really helped me when I was younger to understand the importance of my culture and everything. Dave as well, who obviously he's been very, like, outspoken about being Black with his song Black as well. So for me, Dave and Akala would be my two, like, major role models in, like, being Black and, like, spreading the word of everything. Yeah.
Thank you. And Rodney?
Black leaders that are role models. To be fair, I don't really have many role models. I think it's quite hard. I think there are people that I admire, though, for various reasons. I'll say, just from my career outlook, I do admire David Lammy. I think he's exceptional in what he does as a politician. I like his integrity and the way he speaks incessantly on Black issues and racism and equality. And just to bring it more personal, I'll say within my church, we have one of our Black leaders called Simon at Wesley, and I like his character, and it's good to see him because in one of the leadership positions, because it's not that my church isn't diverse, but there's definitely a need for more diversity within leadership, especially within white majority churches. So it's good to see that, and he fits in well and does a phenomenal job. And ultimately, the leadership within my church reflect society in terms of its diverse nature, and I believe that's the way we should be heading.
Thank you very much, Rodney. So our time is up. So I just want to thank you both, Isaac and Rodney, for, you know, this conversation, and we really hope that it helps anyone that's listening or watching us. So thank you very much for listening to this special about Black History. Bye.
See you.